Good evening, cult members, and welcome to Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And welcome, Whovians. We finally get season 12 of Doctor Who.
Yay! It's been forever. And we got to binge a whole bunch of Doctor Who over the last 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. We would like to thank BBC America for doing what they do every year, which is give us every episode of Doctor Who, modern Doctor Who, from Christmas Eve on to New Year's.
Right. Did they give us everyone? I don't know. I think they cherry pick
some. There's some episodes we don't talk about.
That's true.
And I don't think I've ever seen them back on BBC America. We've always come across them on Amazon.
Yeah.
Something. But this is season 12. Jodie Whittaker and the fam are back together in the TARDIS. I want to just discuss. We do weekly reviews of Doctor Who. Just a little bit of a rundown from last year. We liked Jodie. We liked the new companions. Weren't a big fan of the writing overall for the season.
Yeah, and it actually really kind of hit home watching all the episodes that we've watched over the last couple of days, and kind of the rewatchability of a lot of the older ones, the Matt Smith, the David Tennant, the Peter Capaldi, and then it got to this first season with Jodie Whittaker, and we were kind of like, I don't need to rewatch most of them. There's a couple of good episodes, but the most of them were like,
It did get much better as the season went along, as they found their traction a little bit. A little bit of the problem with the way that BBC films Doctor Who is that they film it all in one chunk, and then release it. They don't start the season and be working on episode 5 or whatever.
Right, so they can't course correct if it's not hitting with fans.
Yes,
so.
Absolutely. So with all of that being said, and we really like Jodie, a lot. I think we both, we're wearing our Jodie shirts, so it's pretty obvious that we really like her as an actress. We really like her as a doctor. And with all of that being said, this is more like it.
Yeah.
This episode called Spyfall Part 1, which is obviously the way you do it, is definitely more of our wheelhouse of Doctor Who.
Yes. It's kind of, it was reminiscent of Matt Smith, just kind of the feel.
I was going to say pace.
The pace,
It was very much action set, going to the next thing, and then an action set, and then going to the next thing, and kind of and
running.
There was finally some running. I actually joked to her, Janice, on the 3/4 of the way. I'm like, we're just missing the running part of the Doctor Who episode.
And then they started running.
We're gonna talk about the episode overall. Then I want to talk about some spoiler stuff, because some stuff that happened in this episode that we need to work out. But this episode is a straight out Bond episode.
Yes.
It's called Spyfall. and they lean in and they talk about spycraft, and they do the gadgets thing, and they go to MI6 and they meet C. And who's played by Stephen Fry, which
he was really not in this episode enough. He was
not in this episode enough.
Second.
Yeah. And we get Lenny Henry, although not super known to us Americans. He's on a bunch of British television.
Yeah.
And was a bigger character in the episode than what Stephen Fry was. And they made a point in the marketing about showcasing that the two of them are going to be in this season. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's just going to be this 2 or 3 story arc, and then get away from them. I don't know.
Well, yeah. Yes. Stephen Fry's spoilers, if we didn't say that already. Stephen Fry's character's already killed off, right?
Shot. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. It's
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And maybe he's not, because they didn't really show him dead, but he
yeah,
seemed to have
yeah.
gotten shot. But maybe it was just with a
I like the introduction. Whenever you talk about Doctor Who, you have to talk about, you know, introducing new characters and new aliens and new issues, and they're sometimes very similar to old issues and old characters and old aliens and stuff
well,
like
yeah,
that. But this one, I really liked that they had these very nondescript humanoid-looking light creatures that could go through walls and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
and a lot of like I like that you didn't have an idea who they were. Like
Right.
they're just light, and
Right, except for that one, there was one, and maybe it was just because they seem to kind of absorb the markings, colorings, whatever, of whatever they've just pushed through.
pushed through.
So
Yeah.
it looked like at one point in time that you kind of saw what it was, but it might have just been the colorings of whatever it
Yeah,
pushed
yeah.
through.
When you when you do paint on top of water and you dip something in it, it kind of takes that form. And that's kind of that's how I felt how it was.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
maybe.
and then the other thing that they kind of were leaning into with this episode was, tech companies being not necessarily a big bad, but could be used as a big bad. Being connected with facial recognition and controlling all different parts of personal information and military
Yeah,
information
yeah.
and governmental information
Working
and
for multiple governments, not necessarily just one, so that they've got interests all over the place, and
yeah.
those governments may not actually be on the same side potentially.
They just pretty much called out Google as pretty much what
Yeah.
they were. Google
Yeah.
was like the company that they were kind of
Yes.
not necessarily saying they were evil or bad, like I said, but more of
Yeah.
questioning like of the what this could mean further down the road and
Right.
stuff like that.
Yep. Yep.
I do like the spy. I mean, they straight out played the Bond theme a
Yeah.
couple of times, or Bond-like themes.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably changed enough so they don't get in trouble, but
But it was, I mean, it was in the trailer. They showed up in tuxes and
Yeah.
and they had a kind of a funny joke with early on with them getting all the gadgets and everything
yeah.
from C.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And then when they show up in the tuxes, she says, "Doctor, the doctor."
which is a great, and we're on the list. I appreciate that they specifically this episode. One of one of my issues from last year is that I'm okay if we're going to talk about social justice stuff
Yeah.
within the show. I appreciate that they lean into that, but it became very repetitive and kind of slapped in your face multiple times last season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like making it over. Like, of course she's a woman.
Yeah.
Over and over and over and over again.
But there was a reference that the I don't remember what his name was.
Stephen Fry.
No. The guy who we don't want to
Oh
talk
yeah,
about
we're
that
gonna
yet.
talk about that in a minute.
He makes a comment.
Yeah.
Makes a comment that he knew the doctor as a man.
As a man, yeah. And that Stephen Fry did a thing too where he started addressing Graham
Yeah.
because his only description he has is of an older white man.
Yeah.
and so of course he like leaned into it, and they had multiple references to previous doctors in this episode, but they were subtle.
Yeah.
But they also talked about Unit, and they also mentioned Torchwood and how they're both not around anymore, and for us more experienced Doctor Who fans, us Whovians, I really like when they give us references to previous doctors.
Yeah. And just previous, I mean, that was kind of one of the big complaints
Yeah.
from the last season. And, we know that they said that they wanted to make it friendly to people who had never watched Doctor Who before,
Yeah.
but you still have to give the fans who have been fans for a long time, you got to, you got to pay the fan service there too. And
They got better about it towards the end of the season last year, but
right. And the Christmas episode,
New Year's episode.
when they brought in the Dalek, which that was actually filmed after everything else.
Yeah.
So they did have the opportunity to do a little
some
course
stuff.
correcting.
Yeah, absolutely. Overall, I really like I said, this is what I want. This is what I want my Doctor Who to be.
Yeah.
Scary at times, funny at times, make me question physics at times, and just like there's a scene where Yaz gets taken, and I was worried about her.
Yeah.
And I'm actually worried about one of the three companions this season as it all. Like 3 companions seems too much. These 3 work really well with the Doctor.
Yeah.
I feel like that we're gonna lose one of them.
Yeah, and that's been an ongoing that was an ongoing issue last season, that a lot of different people who review Doctor Who talked about, was there was always an odd man out,
Right.
with
Right.
that many companions. It was always, like these 2 companions and the Doctor, and there was an extra companion that was just running around. It seemed to be Graham a lot of the time.
Right.
And it was kind of him again in this episode, where
He
he's just kind of running around with
He and the
nothing to
Doctor
do.
got teamed up together, which I really liked.
But he was still.
He's-
It was her, and he was kind of standing over to the side. Going,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was almost the exposition bridge.
Yeah.
Like, he was sitting around to like kind of further the plot while the Doctor does her crazy Doctor stuff.
Yeah.
And then Ryan and Yaz are off doing the spy stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're gonna lose one of the 3 of them this season. And so when there was the scene with Yaz gets taken, I was actually concerned because they had set it up, and then they set it up even more later on. So I'm really interested to see what that is. But overall, really good episode. Really happy with it.
Yes.
Now we have to talk about a major spoiler. Major spoiler. We talked a little bit about not spoiling too much, but if you haven't watched the episode, why are you listening to us?
And you've been warned, and
Go.
what the fuck is the Master doing?
What? Okay.
Dead.
It's
Saxon dead. Missy dead.
Okay. Here's
Or is it the Master?
or is it the Master? See, Missy dies, but we don't see her regenerate. We never see the Master regenerate. I'll say they always show back up in some new form.
Yes.
It's not like the Doctor who has the.
But didn't Saxon say you can't regenerate? When
They just showed this episode where.
yeah, but we didn't. It was like last night or whatever when we took off to go to New Year's, so we didn't see that last
scene,
part.
and I really like that episode. That whole episode arc with the Cybermen and Master and Misty and all. That's the beginning of Capaldi going to change and stuff. But I knowing that they were going to bring back some old villains this season, or at least they've been talking about it, and they've kind of shown us glimpses of different villains from the past.
Yes.
Of the list of villains I thought we were going to get back, the Master was not on even on the list,
Right.
Because I'm not opposed to them bringing the Master back. I really like the Master. I like that concept of the evil equal to the Doctor.
Yeah. Well, and the Master and the Daleks are the two that have been around since I mean, the Daleks have been around
since episode 2 or
episode
whatever.
1 or 2 or whatever. Yeah. But the Master has been around almost as long.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I thought maybe they would give it a little longer. I don't know. I don't know.
I like the idea of bringing the Master back and having them be the puppet master of everything that's going on in the background.
Yeah.
But like you said, I didn't think they were going to do it now.
Yeah.
Maybe next season or later in the season. But they just, like, here in the last 5 minutes, like, boom, like, freaking dropping it. And that's, for me, that's what makes this episode even better for me.
Yeah.
Is that they do drop this bomb after talking about all the stuff that they didn't want to do. They just turn around and did it in this episode.
Yeah. And so, and just sitting here thinking about it, I'm excited for the next one. I want to see it now, which is awesome.
Last year, after each episode, we're like, oh, we really like Doctor Who and we like Jodie, but
and it was kind of okay, but yeah.
Yeah. And so just dropping the Master is just like so.
I have so many questions.
I have so many questions, and that's good. Like, it's going to make you want to be excited, like you're saying, for the next episode. But also, like, what does this mean for the season as a whole? What does this mean for the overall story? Plot wise, for what happened before and what's going to happen. It's like and the guy they got to be is he on the list? He's not on here. Ooh, good job, IMDb. They didn't list him.
Well, they could have listed him as O.
They don't. That's awesome. Ooh.
I know I've seen him before. I've
He's
seen Lenny Henry before.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. He's a Indian origin. So having that kind of, the one thing with me, as I'm sitting here thinking about it and kind of working it out in my head, and this is therapy, Doctor Who therapy, welcome. I think why the twist works so well is that he doesn't come across menacing.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Until he comes across menacing.
Yeah, until the very end.
And even when that happened, I was like, I don't, like, my brain was like, it can't be the Master. And what does this mean? And what does that mean? And whatever. But it took me a bit to kind of go, yeah, I'm actually really okay with him being the Master, because they haven't done at least with modern Master, they haven't done that playboy, angelic, good guy looking or acting Master.
Yeah.
Even Saxon was the politician.
Yeah.
And Missy was the screwball. And so so having somebody who can be this playboy billionaire, philanthropist, is a really kind of cool thing. And I'm really excited. Like, I like what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've talked. I'm like, we'll just spend 10 minutes on it, and we could probably spend another 20 minutes on everything else that happened in this episode. Super cheese Doctor Who stunt work with the motorcycles.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just pointing it out.
Yeah.
I can't not point it out.
Yeah. And I'm appreciating or noticing again, as we rewatched last season, there are Jodie's doctor has her things, right?
Yeah.
Like, everybody has their, like, Alonzi and Geronimo, and hers is like, she'll start off with, I'm 95%
Yeah.
Sure, 80, 40 at the outset, or at the worst, or however she phrases it. She said that more than once last season, and she said it again
Yeah.
in this one. So I'm starting to pick up on those.
I really like that. I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic. Okay, we're just gonna be real.
Yeah.
And other doctors have done that, but it was just funny to really point oh, hey, this is her thing. And so that is our review and discussion, and now we're excited. Sundays. That's another thing I wanted to talk about before we get done. They're doing it on Sundays, which is really makes our life easier because when they're on Saturdays, we really don't end up getting to them until Saturdays anyway, or Sundays anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
And now that Watchmen's done, we have something to fill our void.
Sunday evening
Our Sunday
viewing.
void, at least for a little while. That's our thoughts about Doctor Who Spyfall Part 1. What did you guys think? Let us know your thoughts on Jodie, on the new Doctor, on the new series, and specifically this episode. Leave all those comments in the comment section below if you're on YouTube. I don't know we've filmed 17 things today, so I'm just running out of juice. So let us know. Like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Also follow us on all of our social media stuff, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. All of those links are in the description down below. And until next time, Whovians, so this Sunday, which is in like 4 days, yes. If we don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.